Here we are on section 8.1, starting a new chapter, and we're going to be solving things with x squareds in them. For this number 5, this first one I'm going to, because the x squared is by itself, I am going to square root both sides. When I square both sides of an equation while solving it, I'm going to have to add a plus or minus in front of it. The last thing that we need to do with this thing is simplify the square root of 18. We know 18 is 9 times 2. And the square root of 9 will give me 3 root 2. So plus or minus 3 root 2. If we're going to split the answers, we would write positive 3 square roots of 2 and negative 3 square roots of 2. That's the two answers. Let's now jump to question number 8. Question number 8 says 2x squared minus 4 equals 0. Again, we have to get the x squared by itself before we square root. So I'm going to solve by adding 4 to both sides. Then I'm going to divide by 2 on both sides, giving me x squared equals 2. Now I square root. We don't square root until the x squared is by itself. And I get plus or minus square root of 2. Let's do the next one, number 9. It says 5x squared, or x plus 5 squared equals 9. Now, because this is in parentheses being squared, we're going to square root. And I get x plus 5, because square and square root are opposite operations. Over here, I get plus or minus, and the square root of 9 is 3. To get the x by itself, I have to subtract 5 from both sides. Here's where a lot of mistakes happen. Because there's a plus or minus in front of this number, we can't just put the negative 5 underneath it. We have to put it in front of the plus or minus. Now, we're going to get our two answers. I have negative 5 plus 3 gives me negative 2, and negative 5 minus 3 gives me negative 8. Let's take a look at the next one, number 10. Same kind of deal as last time. Y minus 3 squared equals 4. Square root, square root. When I square the square root, or square root the square, opposite operations go away. On the other side, I get plus or minus the square root of 4, which is 2. Then I'm going to add 3 to both sides, add 3 to both sides. Because there's a plus or minus in front of it, we have to put the 3 in front of that plus or minus. We can't put it on the 2 because we wouldn't get the same answers. 3 plus 2 is 5, and 3 minus 2 is 1. Those are your two answers. Number 11. We have z minus 6 squared equals 18. And in this case, we're going to, because it's in a parenthesis, we're going to square root both sides. When we square root both sides, we get plus or minus the square root of 18. Add the 6, add the 6. I get z equals 6 plus or minus. Now, can I simplify this? Well, we had the square root of 18 before, and it was 3 root 2, so I'm going to leave it that way. Can I add these together and get 9 root 2? Or 3 root 2, 6 minus 3? No, because you can't add or subtract things that are whole numbers and rational numbers, radical numbers. The next one we're going to do is 12. And I get y plus 4 squared equals 27. Square root, y plus 4 equals plus or minus, the square root of 27 is 3 root 3, minus 4, y equals negative 4 plus or minus 3 root 3. And let's take a look at number 14. I have 4x plus 9 quantity squared equals 6. because the square, everything's in a parenthesis, first thing we're going to do is square root. And I get 4x plus 9 equals plus or minus the square root of 6. Then I'm going to minus 9, minus the 9. Notice again that I'm putting the negative 9 in front of the plus or minus. And then to get the x by itself, I divide by 4. Now, as you find out in class, anytime your answer has a radical or an I in it, I'm going to leave it without splitting it into the two answers. If it doesn't have a radical or an I in it, I'm going to split them into the two answers. So this one has a radical, so I'm going to leave it as this is my answer. Good luck.